A so-called best friend weaves lies to gain attention and admiration, but when the truth finally comes out, her betrayal is exposed before everyone, leaving her humiliated and alone. Friendship is supposed to be a bond stronger than fire. For years, Amelia believed her best friend, Clara, was her safe place. They laughed together, shared secrets, and leaned on one another through every storm. Amelia, with her calm smile and kind heart, had always been the dependable one, while Clara, with her sharp wit and fiery personality, brought energy into every room. But behind Clara's confident smile lived a darker hunger, a need to be seen, to be admired, to be the center of attention at any cost. At first, Amelia never noticed the subtle shifts, the way Clara's compliments often carried thorns, the way she slipped small jokes about Amelia into conversations. To everyone else, Clara was the devoted friend, the loyal shadow who stood beside Amelia through thick and thin. What Amelia did not realize was that Clara's shadow was growing darker, preparing to eclipse her light completely. And so the stage was set. A fragile trust, one selfish heart, and a friendship about to collapse into betrayal. Clara's envy had begun quietly. Amelia had a natural charm that drew people to her, even without effort. Teachers praised her, classmates trusted her, and strangers warmed to her presence. Clara, though clever and ambitious, always seemed to stand just a step behind her. That invisible gap gnawed at her pride. Every achievement Amelia earned felt like a personal attack to Clara. Every compliment Amelia received burned like acid in her chest. So she began to plant little seeds of doubt among their circle of friends. "Amelia didn't mean it like that," Clara would say, twisting her tone to suggest something unkind. Or, "She's nice, but don't you think she sometimes pretends to be perfect?" These whispers spread like smoke, harmless at first, but slowly choking the air around Amelia. And Clara, with each lie that slipped from her lips, felt a secret thrill. The power to bend people's perception was intoxicating. The first real fracture came during a party. The music was loud, laughter filled the air, and Amelia was surrounded by friends. Clara, standing on the edge of the crowd, decided to make her move. With just a sly smile, she leaned toward a group and whispered, "Did you know Amelia said she doesn't trust you?" The statement was false, but it didn't matter. By the time it reached Amelia, it had been retold 3 times, each version sharper than the last. Confronted with confusion and suspicion, Amelia stood speechless, shocked that anyone would think she had spoken such words. Clara pretended to be shocked too, wrapping her arm around Amelia's shoulder, saying, "Don't worry, I'll defend you." In that moment, Clara looked like the loyal friend, but secretly, she enjoyed watching Amelia's eyes fill with doubt. The game had begun. Clara quickly realized that lies were a currency she could spend to buy attention. Each story she invented about Amelia earned her more sympathy, more curiosity, more whispers that kept Clara at the center of every conversation. She told one friend Amelia was jealous of their success. She told another that Amelia often spoke badly about them behind their back. Each lie was tailored, precise, designed to sink into the exact weakness of her listener. And Clara, with her convincing tone and wide-eyed innocence, was almost impossible to doubt. Soon, Clara had created a version of Amelia that was unrecognizable, a selfish, two-faced person that did not exist, yet the image spread like wildfire, burning through every corner of their social circle. Amelia, still unaware of the depth of betrayal, could only sense that something was shifting around her. Friends grew distant, trust grew thin, and conversations turned cold. But Clara smiled wider than ever. Amelia felt the change long before she understood it. Friends who once laughed freely with her now seemed guarded, hesitant. Jokes fell flat, conversations ended quickly, and invitations grew fewer. She asked Clara if she had noticed, but Clara only shook her head with feigned innocence. "Maybe you're just imagining it," Clara said, her voice smooth as honey. "People are busy these days. Don't worry, you still have me." Amelia clung to those words, grateful for Clara's reassurance, but deep inside, doubt gnawed at her heart. Was she really imagining it? Had she done something wrong? The more she tried to fix it, the worse it seemed to get. Meanwhile, Clara fed the flames behind closed doors. Every time Amelia tried to mend a bond, Clara quietly sabotaged it, making sure the cracks only deepened. The trap was tightening, and Amelia had no idea who had set it. The breaking point arrived when a cruel rumor surfaced, one too specific, too painful to ignore. Someone had claimed Amelia betrayed a close friend's trust in the cruelest way. The rumor spread quickly, amplified by Clara's carefully placed words. Amelia was devastated. She pleaded her innocence, but the weight of the whispers was too heavy. Trust was crumbling all around her. Her reputation, once her greatest strength, was now a weapon turned against her. Clara, of course, comforted her in public. She held Amelia's hand, wiped her tears, and promised to stand by her. But in private she savored every moment of Amelia's downfall. It was everything Clara had wanted, until the lies began to tangle in ways she did not expect. Clara's web of lies was complex, and even she struggled to keep it straight. Different groups of friends remembered different versions of the same stories. Questions began to surface. "Didn't you say something else last time? Are you sure Amelia really said that?" Clara brushed off the doubts with charm, but the cracks in her mask were beginning to show. The more lies she told, the harder it became to keep them aligned. And while Clara was busy spinning her stories, Amelia was beginning to notice patterns. It was Clara who always seemed to know the details of every rumor. It was Clara who always appeared right when Amelia was accused. And it was Clara who always seemed to gain sympathy from Amelia's suffering. For the first time, Amelia allowed herself to consider the unthinkable. Could her best friend be the one behind it all? Amelia tried to dismiss the idea that Clara could be responsible for her troubles, but the thought refused to leave her mind. Clara was always there, always involved, always strangely close to the source of every rumor. The coincidences piled up until they no longer looked like coincidences at all. One evening, Amelia decided to quietly observe. She noticed how Clara leaned into conversations, her voice dropping to a whisper when Amelia wasn't looking. She saw the way Clara's eyes glittered with satisfaction when people glanced suspiciously at Amelia. Suddenly, pieces of the puzzle began to connect. Still, Amelia hesitated. This was her best friend. Could someone she trusted so deeply truly be the cause of her misery? Yet the more Amelia watched, the more her heart tightened with dread. She resolved that if Clara was the one weaving these lies, then she needed proof. Something undeniable that would reveal the truth to everyone. What Amelia didn't know was that Clara was growing reckless. The more power she felt from manipulating others, the less careful she became, and soon her own arrogance would be her downfall. It happened during lunch at the university cafe. A group was whispering about Amelia, repeating the same rumor she had already heard a dozen times. As Amelia approached, she saw Clara among them, gesturing dramatically with her hands. Clara's words stopped the moment Amelia appeared, but not quickly enough. Amelia caught the tail end of a sentence. "She even admitted it to me." The group fell silent, pretending nothing had been said. Clara smiled too brightly, stammering an excuse about discussing something unimportant. But Amelia knew. The lie was too specific. Clara had just claimed that Amelia had admitted something she never even thought of. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't paranoia, this was real. Clara was the source. For the rest of the day, Amelia couldn't focus on anything. The betrayal weighed on her chest like stone. If Clara was willing to openly lie in her name, then what else had she been saying all along? Amelia realized she had to act. She couldn't remain silent anymore. Amelia knew she couldn't simply accuse Clara. Without evidence, people would believe Clara's sweet words over her desperate defense. Clara had mastered the art of appearing loyal while spreading poison in secret. Amelia needed a way to expose her publicly, in front of everyone, without a chance for Clara to wriggle free. She spent nights thinking, replaying conversations, and noting Clara's contradictions. Slowly, an idea took shape. If she could guide Clara into a corner where her lies would collide, the truth would reveal itself. Amelia began to act differently. She pretended not to suspect Clara, keeping her close while carefully planting questions. She listened intently whenever Clara spoke and subtly asked others what Clara had told them. The more she gathered, the clearer the contradictions became. The trap was forming. Amelia would not strike yet, but soon Clara's own words would destroy her. Amelia realized she wasn't alone. Some of her true friends, though distant at first, had begun to notice the same inconsistencies. A few quietly approached her, expressing their doubts about Clara. One friend confessed, "She told me you insulted me. But when I asked her again later, she said you insulted someone else instead. None of it made sense," another admitted. "I only started doubting you because Clara was so insistent." Amelia's heart swelled with relief. She wasn't crazy. Others were beginning to see the truth too. Together, they discussed Clara's tactics and shared the twisted stories she had told. Piece by piece, the full web of deceit became visible. With her allies, Amelia strengthened her plan. If Clara wanted attention, Amelia would give it to her. Only this time, the attention would come with a spotlight bright enough to expose every shadow she had created. An opportunity came in the form of a social gathering. A mutual friend was hosting a celebration, and nearly everyone from their circle would be there. Clara, of course, was excited. Events like this were her stage. Amelia knew this was the perfect place to strike. She told her allies to let Clara speak freely, to encourage her stories, and to subtly nudge her into retelling her most damaging lies. Amelia herself would remain calm, patient, waiting for Clara to weave herself into a contradiction too large to escape. The night of the gathering, Clara arrived dressed to impress, her smile as radiant as ever. She was ready to charm, to whisper, to bask in the attention she craved. What she didn't know was that the eyes watching her now were sharper than ever before. Amelia's plan was in motion. It didn't take long for Clara to fall into the trap. Surrounded by a small group, she launched into one of her usual tales. "Amelia said she couldn't stand you," she whispered dramatically, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Someone in the group asked innocently, "But didn't you say last week that Amelia was jealous of someone else?" Clara blinked, faltering for a second, then recovered with a laugh. "Oh well, you know, she says a lot of things." The small slip was subtle, but Amelia saw it. Encouraged, her allies pressed further, asking Clara to repeat her stories. The more she spoke, the more tangled her web became. Different versions clashed, timelines didn't match, and details shifted awkwardly. Amelia waited silently, her heart pounding. The cracks were widening. Clara was too blinded by her need for attention to notice she was digging her own grave. Finally, Amelia stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm as she addressed the group. "Clara, since you seem to know so much about me, why don't you repeat everything you've told them, right here in front of everyone?" The room grew tense. Clara froze, her eyes darting nervously. I don't know what you mean," she stammered. But Amelia didn't relent. She gently asked each person to share what Clara had told them. One by one the stories spilled out, contradictory, twisted, and impossible to align. All eyes turned to Clara. Her confident mask cracked under the weight of scrutiny. She stuttered, denied, then tried to laugh it off, but the damage was done. The web of lies was unraveling before everyone's eyes. Amelia's calm gaze never wavered. For the first time, the truth stood in the light, and Clara had nowhere left to hide. The room erupted in murmurs. Friends exchanged glances, their doubt now replaced with clarity. The betrayal was undeniable. Clara's carefully crafted image of loyalty crumbled in seconds. "Why would you lie like that?" one friend demanded. Their voice filled with hurt. Another shook their head in disgust. "We trusted you, Clara." Clara's face burned red. She tried to defend herself, claiming she had been misunderstood, but the more she spoke, the more her desperation showed. The once confident storyteller was now exposed as a manipulator. For Amelia, it was bittersweet. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but seeing the truth laid bare brought a sense of justice. Clara had used her lies to climb higher, but now she had fallen, and everyone had witnessed it. In the days that followed, Clara's world collapsed. The same people who once admired her now avoided her. Whispers still followed her, but this time they weren't fueled by her lies. They were fueled by her shame. No one wanted to be near her. Invitations stopped. Conversations ended when she entered the room. Clara had craved attention, but now she received only isolation. Amelia, meanwhile, slowly began to rebuild her relationships. Her friends, now aware of the truth, offered apologies and support. Though trust would take time to restore, Amelia knew she was no longer alone. Clara had wanted the spotlight, but in the end she was left in the shadows, alone, abandoned, and broken by the very lies she once used to control others. Amelia often lay awake at night, thinking about everything that had happened. She wondered how long Clara had been lying, how deep the betrayal truly went. It hurt to realize that someone she had once called her closest friend had been her worst enemy. But she also realized something powerful. Truth has a way of rising. Lies can twist, deceive, and manipulate for a time, but eventually, they collapse under their own weight. She promised herself she would never ignore the signs again. Trust was a gift, precious and fragile, and it would only be given to those who truly deserved it. Clara's need for attention did not vanish, but no one was willing to listen anymore. Her attempts to start new friendships ended quickly once her reputation preceded her. People saw her not as the confident, charming friend she pretended to be, but as a deceiver whose words could never be trusted. In her isolation, Clara finally faced the truth she had tried so hard to avoid. Envy and lies had destroyed her life. She had traded genuine friendship for shallow admiration, and now she had neither. The attention she once craved was gone, replaced by silence. For Amelia, life slowly returned to normal. She rebuilt her bonds with those who had doubted her, proving her kindness and loyalty through actions, not words. Her strength in handling the betrayal earned her new respect. The experience scarred her, but it also sharpened her. She became more discerning, more aware of who truly stood by her. She learned that friendship is not about who laughs with you in public, but who defends you in private. And though the pain of Clara's betrayal would never fully fade, Emilia emerged stronger, like steel forged in fire. The story of Clara and Emilia spread beyond their circle. People whispered about the girl who lied for attention and the friend who exposed her. It became a warning, a reminder of how envy can poison even the closest bonds. Emilia carried the lesson with her always. Trust must be earned, not assumed. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Clara, once desperate for admiration, was now remembered for her downfall. Emilia, though scarred, found healing in truth. And so the story ends, a tale of lies, betrayal, and justice. But remember, in every circle there might be a Clara. Stay watchful, protect your truth, and never underestimate the power of loyalty. If you enjoyed this story and want more tales of betrayal, redemption, and suspense, don't forget to subscribe for the next one.